Uttama bhakti, not just Uttama eligibility. So they're not on the platform of Uttama bhakti, in the sense that they're not on the Bhava or the Prema platform, but they're most eligible to come to that platform by engaging, because they have strong faith and strong knowledge. Therefore they know how to get to that platform, and they're engaged in the process of doing it. Whereas Krishna saying in Bhagavad Gita, in the 5th chapter, that one who makes, well, in the 12th chapter, one who makes himself devoted to devotional service exclusively, that he's the one who's actually the best and he'll come back to me. Something like that. One who's, one who makes a devotional service, how's that the verse go? Same with the Bhagavad Gita here, I can anytime someone can read that?
He's not very expert in arguing on the strength of the real scripture, but was very faithfully objective.
So this is a Ye tu dharma mitamidam yatoktam paripasate shradadana mat parama bhaktaste me priyaha. One who follows this imperishable path of devotional service and completely engage themselves with faith, they can meet the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me. So that's the conclusion of the 12th chapter. That is Uttama eligibility. They haven't obtained the goal yet, but they will attain the goal shortly. Kanista, little knowledge and little faith. And that little knowledge, they can't really quote arguments, and they're easily dissuaded from devotional service. Like I was distributing books in Anuradha Damodar. I was distributing at a little airport in Charlotte, North Carolina. And at that time, Radha Damodar, the distributors were the best, more or less the top of the world. So I was maybe number 20 in the world at that time. And the devotee I was distributing with, he was like number 2 or 3 in the world at the airport. But what I noticed, this is a very small airport we were distributing at, but he'd only stop the most beautiful women who walked by. And if you looked at him distributing the book, you'd think it was not a devotee distributing a book. You thought it was a romance going on in the middle of the airport. True love or whatever else, I thought. And then after some time, some months, he finally found the girl he was looking for, and that was the end of his book distribution. He was more or less glorified as, Maharati book distributor, but actually he was, well, he did do some service, but it wasn't based upon strong knowledge and strong faith. Summary. Anyway, we don't need to go to that. Now, we know that there are some important principles, such as accepting the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. Srila Rupa Goswami gives us 64 principles, and the first 10 he says are essential to come to the platform of pure devotional service. So the first one is accepting the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, Guru Pradashaya. Of course, that means that Krishna, we have to approach Krishna through his representatives. We can't approach him directly. And we have to be able to hear with faith. If we don't hear with faith, then actually we're not hearing. What does Krishna say in Bhagavad Gita about, if you don't hear from me, what happens?
You'll be lost.
Yeah, you'll be lost. In other words, we don't hear from Krishna, then Krishna said, Yarahankara Ashritya, Niyotsiti Manyase, Nityaisha Vyavasayase, Prakati Tvam Niyokshati. Right now you're not listening to me. Who are you listening to? What's that?
You are lying.
Yeah, Ahankara. Yarahankara Ashritya. You're taking shelter of your false ego. So your false ego was in your mind, your hankering, lamentation, they're directing you, but I'm not directing you. So the spiritual master means one who repeats Krishna's message in disciple succession, and therefore we hear from him or her, and then we follow their directions. That means that we're following Krishna's directions. Otherwise, how do we know what Krishna wants us to do? We can read Bhagavad Gita, and that's also hearing from Krishna, but then, as William Blake says, we both read the Bible day and night. I read black and you read white. So we can interpret it any way we like. And of course there are other, accepting initiation from the spiritual master and receiving instructions from him. We all know these more or less basic instructions from the Nectar of Devotion. Serving the spiritual master with faith and confidence and following the footsteps of ascending persons. Now what we want to do now, since we're all more or less familiar, even before this class, with the basic principles of sadhana bhakti, we want to discuss what are some of the obstacles. Why do even the devotees who know what the process is, just like Arjuna asked Krishna, what does he say? Shreyan swadamo viguna paradharma svanusita Shredamedinam Shreyat paradbhavo vaya paradharmo bhavaha. What does that mean? Shreyan swadamo viguna. That would do this.
It's better to perform one's duties imperfectly than others' duties perfectly, because fulfilling others' duties is very dangerous.
Yeah. There are two verses. Bhagavad Gita is the summary of all the verses in all the Vedic literature. And it's 700 verses. And Krishna repeats two verses twice in Bhagavad Gita. And this is one of them. What's the other one? Yeah, so this Manmana, always think of me, become my devotee. Krishna must have considered it very important because he repeated it twice. Once in the 9th chapter and once in the 18th chapter. And similarly, this verse is spoken both in the 3rd chapter and again in the 18th chapter. So Krishna must have thought it was very important. Do your own duty. Don't be artificially trying to do someone else's duty. And then why? Then Arjuna asked, well, what's the problem? Why? We know what we're supposed to do, but why don't we do it? And Krishna says, what? Kama esha, krodha esha, raja guna samudvaha. Mahashna mahapapa vidinami havarina. It is lust only, Arjuna. But that's an easy answer. Krishna gives us an easy answer, which is later turned into wrath, which is all devouring, sinful enemy of the world. So what we want to do now, can someone, we have a means of typing something so it appears on the screen? Who's the expert here who can do that? How do we do that? We don't do that. What's that?
Add slide.
Okay, add a slide. So when we do 10 minutes of brainstorming here, what are some of the obstacles of doing sadhana bhakti in such a way that we have a clear path towards bhava bhakti? Especially in this age, what are some of their things that deviate us from the path of sadhana? Yes? Women. What about women?